Well, hi everybody. This is Mr. Jim, and we're Stories and More, and we have Miss Natalie here. And oh, look, Miss Natalie, it's
Hello, George.
George. Hi everybody.
Finally,
Oh
we
boy,
get to see George again.
I'm so glad to be
It's been
back.
a while since we've been here, and we're right here by our story tree, because we haven't been able to get to schools because you guys have all been in COVID shutdown things, and that's what we're doing too.
Hi Fred.
Yeah.
Hi Fred.
Yeah. It's time to get back into the saddle, and tell a couple stories again, and say hello to our friends like Desmond. Hello, Desmond. Yep. Yeah, Desi and Gabriel. Yeah. I got another one.
And Anderson.
And Anderson and Emery and Grace. Yeah. We got a lot. Kale, Jaron. Hey, and anybody out there have a name that they want to let us know, and we'll talk to you. Yeah, let us know if you want to have us say hello to you. But let us know what your name is, and it's right there in our YouTube. I think that you can let us know, or at storiesandmore.me.
Well, hey, my friend Annie, the dog, is here too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm glad to see you, George. Yeah. Hey, are you going to tell a story? I'm talking about telling a story. Well, I got to go get some flies so I can listen. See you in a little bit. Yeah. He likes flies, doesn't he? So, George, today, by our story tree, our story is about... Whoa. Hey, I hear...
Larry, what's the problem?
We're telling stories. I can't wait to hear more stories. I want to hear some more stories. Well, you kind of interrupted me there, Larry. Well, I can't help it. I get excited to hear a story. It's kind of like going to the library, coming here and listening to our stories on this YouTube. Yeah, well, what's it about? Well, actually, it's about something you might want to be interested in. Oh, yeah. What is it? It's about patience. Patience. Oh dear. Well, can you hurry up and tell me the story? It's not easy to have patience sometimes. Is it easy to have patience, George?
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's when you have to wait for something and you don't really want to wait for it. Well, what's this about? Where'd you get this story? I got this story from a author named Rudyard Kipling. He tells lots of stories. Yes, he does. And I like to tell them too. And so I'm going to get to tell you about this lady who lived in Africa. Oh, yeah. Oh, was there a lion in there? And there's a lion in there? Yeah. There's a lion? Yes, there is a lion in this story, George. Okay, I'm ready to listen, and I'll see you later.
Bye, Larry.
Bye, Larry. Yes. Well, this lady lived in Africa, and there was a war with her family, and in the village and all around, the men had to go to war, and she and the women stayed and took care of the kids and so forth. And after some period of time, the men came back from the war, and they were very distraught and very sad. And in fact, her husband was kind of mean, and he kind of like got mad real fast, and then he'd be quiet for days. And she didn't quite know what to do with him, and she'd tell her neighbors, he's just not the man that I married, and I need to help him, and I don't know how, and he won't talk to me, and then when he talks, he's mad, and it's kind of a stress syndrome, I think. I don't know what to do with it. And the folks thought for a little while, and they thought, well, there's a wise man up in the mountain, and maybe you could go up to the mountain and ask him. A wise man? Oh, yeah, he lives up there in that cave. You mean the man in the cave? Yes, that's exactly what we mean. Perhaps you could try that. And so she took her walking stick and she started walking up the side of the mountain, and she found, after the trail finally ended at this cave, oh my goodness, there was an old man sitting inside that cave, and inside the cave doorway was a table, and there was a lantern, and he was reading an old big book. She thought, sir, my people thought that perhaps I could come and I could ask you some questions. And he didn't answer, and he didn't say anything. So she went a little bit closer, and she said, sir, maybe you can't hear me. Perhaps I could ask you about what to do with my husband. And he still didn't answer. And so she went a little bit closer, and finally she was at the table, and she said, it's about my husband, and he's so angry all the time, or that he's very quiet all the time, and I don't know what to do. And finally, The old man raised his eyes and he looked up and he said, "If you can get a tiger's whisker, I will tell you what to do." What? And he looked back to the book and, "A tiger? What? Sir, certainly you don't mean for me to get a whisker from a tiger. A tiger?" She was very frustrated, but he did not look back up again, so she went back down to the village, and she did not know what to do, and she told the people that she was supposed to get some kind of a tiger whisker. And the people puzzled, and they thought, this man is a very wise man. Well, there is an old tiger. He doesn't seem to get out much, and if you could, when he is full and maybe, what? Well, time went by and days went by, and she said, "Okay, I'll try it." And she took a bowl of rice. Maybe the tiger will smell the rice instead of me. And she took her walking stick and she walked up that hillside, and she got way out there where the grass was, and big grassy field, and she looked up and there were 2 ears that came up. It was over by a tree. So she stood still and did not move. The ears didn't move. She just stayed there with her rice bowl, and after a bit of time, the day went by and he didn't move and she hadn't moved, so she went home. Well, that was not too hard. I'll just do that again. So she went back the next day and she had a bowl of rice, and she saw the ears come up, and she stood there and he stayed there, and nothing happened. So she went home, and so it went the next day and the next day, and the week went by, and finally when she stood there, she didn't see the ears. She moved a little bit further, closer, and she saw the top of his head and his ears. So she didn't move, and he didn't move, so she stayed and he stayed. And it was that she got a little bit closer every day, every week. Maybe months went by. She wasn't sure how long it was before she was suddenly, seemingly, right by the tiger. And she thought, well, you see, my husband, I know you don't know what I'm saying, but I'll tell you the story. And she began to talk to the tiger, and she'd come back the next day and the tiger hadn't moved. But one day when she got back there, the belly of the tiger looked so full that she thought he had eaten, and he was very comfortable. And you know about my husband, and how about the old wise man that said that I was to try to get a whisker, and he would tell me what to do with my husband, and I see one of your whiskers is laying right there, and it's just so loose, and perhaps you wouldn't mind if I had your whisker, perhaps you wouldn't mind. And she reached out and she grabbed that whisker right out of his cheek. She could hear him growl, but she had the whisker between her fingers. And he only was growling. She'd step back an inch or another inch or another inch, and she'd step back, and she had the whisker between her fingers. I can't. And she began moving quicker back, and he stayed where he was, and soon her feet was moving along the dirt, and she found her feet were flying over the dirt. She thought she was running so quickly and swiftly down the hillside and up the pathway towards where the cave was. And finally, when she burst into the cave and she had the whisker between her fingers, "Sir, do you remember? It's been weeks, months. I don't know, maybe a year. It's been a long time. Sir, do you remember? You said..." And she came a little bit closer to the table, and he raised his eyes and looked. "I have the tiger's whisker, sir. If I were to get a tiger's whisker, you'd tell me what to do with my husband?" The old man reached out, and he took the whisker. He looked at the whisker. He held it over the flame of his candle, and it burned up. "Sir, it's a long time since, why did you do this? Why did you burn my whiskers? You're to tell me what to do with my husband." And the old man looked up. He said, "Ma'am, you have had the patience to tame a tiger. Go home and tame your husband with the same patience you tamed the tiger.
Wow, that was a great story.
Oh, that's good. Some people feel a little frustrated over that story, but it's a great story for the general understanding of what patience is and how much we can accomplish with a little bit of patience, right? Is that right, Larry?
Well, well, maybe I'll try to take my turn a little bit better next time. That's a pretty cool story. It wasn't a lion, though.
Oh, that's true.
But that's okay.
It could have been a lion, but it was a tiger, wasn't it?
Yes.
And we'll see you another day and
Okay,
another
guys,
time.
we'll see you.
Thank you for your good
Bye.
ears and good listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye, friends.
Bye.